Well, hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Chat here on Big Country Politics. I am Manny Diaz. This week we're joined by Abilene City Council candidate Place 3, Mr. James Sargent. James, thanks for hanging out today.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Well, good deal, man. Well, you're an Air Force veteran, a local business owner, owner of Auto Aide Repair. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the issues, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. As stated, I spent 10 years in the Air Force as an aircraft loadmaster and had a blessed opportunity to travel the world and actually see and meet people of various cultures. A small business owner for over 9 years now with Auto Aide Repair mechanic shop. Coming up on 8 years of marriage to an amazing woman. Have an 18-year-old in college, and we have a full...
You have an 18-year-old?
I have an 18-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Don't look like it, my man.
If I shave this off, I'd look younger. We have a 4 and a 5-year-old at home that came through the foster agency, and they're actually biological brother and sister,
man.
and we are preparing to adopt.
You showed me the photos, man. They look cute as
Absolutely.
ever.
And I have a passion for serving and helping others.
That's very cool. Well, this isn't your first rodeo running for city council. You recently ran for the Place 5 seat. Why toss your name in the ring again?
So I've been serving throughout our community for many years. Now, my family and I, we believe in anonymous servitude, in the sense of serving our community and serving others. Now, running for public office, being anonymous is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
So the citizens need to know my name, They need to know who they're voting for and why they should vote for me. But in the sense of being a public servant on city council, I've never stopped serving. I've never stopped being involved. I've never stopped representing, standing by, and standing with, and standing for the members of our community. And it's not about the title of city council member. It's about the position of city council member, which would merely be an extension of who I already am and what I'm already doing and will continue to do going forward. And that's serving the members of our community.
Yeah. Well, you're, in your campaign materials, you mentioned biblically founded, constitutionally grounded. Tell us about that and what that means for your campaign here in Abilene.
Absolutely. So the biblically founded and constitutionally grounded is a trusted foundation in which our individual rights and liberties are outlined and protected. This does not suggest that America was founded as a theocracy, nor should it be operated as one. Mm-hmm. The biblical principles that were utilized in the founding of our country, like civic structure, equitable law, preserving civil and religious liberties, and public morality, are all protected by the U.S. Constitution. They provide a legal and moral framework in which I guide my life.
Yeah. So as far as translating that to what you can do here for the folks of the citizens, certainly of Place 3, how does that translate to that there?
That there's a set of principles, morals, and values in which I will serve and protect. Just as I did in the military, I fought to protect our freedoms, and I'll fight to protect our freedoms as citizens in our community.
Does it feel different, since you've already ran for a city council position, you ran in Place 5. Does it feel different doing this over again, or are you or have you gained a little bit of momentum, if you will?
We have continued with the momentum and continue in fostering and building relationships and earning the trust of our community members. And the field definitely looks different this year. You have 3 new opponents, so no matter what, there's going to be a new council member in this position. And I believe I am the most well-rounded and best suited individual for this position.
And I know, runners, if you look into the runner, track stars, they always want to keep the eye on the prize. They don't really look to see what's behind them or beside them. They're just always looking forward. Is it tough not to see what's around you because there's so many? I mean, this is probably one of the most jam-packed seats because you do have 3 other candidates within this race.
It absolutely is interesting. You look at the different personalities and characters that are involved. I certainly expect it to be challenging. I certainly expected that the citizens of our community would be well represented throughout various forms. But looking for the individual, like myself, that can represent across the boundaries, across North Side and South Side, across small business ownership, across military, across the issues that are surrounding Sanctuary City, across the issues of standing up and protecting our children with the library issue and the books.
Those have been 2 big hot button issues. Certainly Sanctuary City, because you were a part of that movement, certainly in the early goings of all that there. Well, tell you what, coming up after the break, we'll hear more from Place 3 City Council candidate James Sargent about some of the issues he's passionate about the most. We'll get into that right here on Big Country Politics. Well, hello and welcome back to Big Country Politics. This is our Sunday chat. I am Manny Diaz. This week we're joined by Abilene City Council candidate for Place 3, Mr. James Sargent. James, in your run for Place 5 City Council last year, you were a big supporter of the ordinance to make Abilene a sanctuary city for the unborn. As we all know, the ordinance passed in November. As a city council candidate, have you given any thought as to how this ordinance could be enforced?
Absolutely. I mean, it is a hot topic. It is a very sensitive subject. But when we look at abortion, it's the induced termination of pregnancy with the destruction of an embryo or fetus, or the destruction of human life in an early stage of development. So this is not referring to a situation where there are medical conditions or concerns affecting the life of the mother or the child. This is relating to a willful intent of taking a human life. Now, the Sanctuary City Ordinance contains a private enforcement mechanism, as you mentioned, against anyone other than the mother who procures, performs, aids, and abets an abortion. Now, my heart does go out to the families and the mothers facing the fears and the challenges of not only pregnancy, but also raising a child. But to them I say, you are strong, you are not alone. You don't have to do this alone. Our community has many resources, churches and organizations that are able and willing to help you. If you don't know where to go, you can reach out to me and we'll help you get connected to the people that can help you.
As far as enforcing it, is that, and I know Scott Beard has kind of touched on a few of these things because he led this particular campaign, but does it get tricky on how you do that, on how you enforce it with all this, and then certainly when you bring in, bring in the law and all of this?
And I believe there is a personal tricky aspect to it, and people have to deal with their conscience and morals in this. But you're looking at the legal aspect of that is a human life. Mm-hmm. I'm a volunteer chaplain at a local prison. And there's individuals in there that have taken a human life. Just because it's in a different stage of development or developed differently doesn't mean it's any less valuable. Mm-hmm. And so it should still then be protected by the law.
From public safety to a balanced business approach, you've listed a number of issues on your Facebook page and website that you want to address. What are a few things that you're hearing from constituents that you can do if elected to the city council?
Yeah. So among some of the top issues, of course, are the taxes, the conditions of our streets, and public safety. But I believe it all boils down to and starts with improving the communication with our citizens in a transparent manner. When there's more effective communication, I believe our citizens would then feel like they're part of the team. You're bringing them in as part of the solution. And would then further be encouraged and more engaged and involved. Now, when there's more transparency with how our tax dollars are spent, we can then earn more of the trust of our citizens and collectively and openly work together to improve our city.
On your website, you've mentioned city transparency, and I think you just touched on that. And the city budget is items that you want to improve. If elected, what does a plan look like to upgrade or refine these particular items?
Absolutely. Okay, so case in point. Take, for example, the downtown hotel. It's a hot topic. Mm-hmm. On page 227 in City of Abilene, 2022 and 2023 operating budget states state and local hotel occupancy tax generated from the downtown hotel would be used to fund the debt service agreement or debt service issued by the city for those facilities. Additional funding sources for construction of the city facilities include private donations and excess general fund reserves. Now, the city has budgeted $29.1 million for the construction of those facilities. But yet, we have park facilities that kids are playing in that are outdated, that have leaking roofs and safety concerns. When we're looking at Abilene with approximately $360 million in debt, which paid to maturity will be over $475 million by about 2041, and that's if we don't need more bonds for further projects and improvements. It's a simple process of looking at that we can't borrow our way out of debt, and we can't spend our way out of recession. So let's look at budgeting for what really matters to our community and benefits our citizens as a whole.
So as far as like what the city council is doing now, I mean, do you feel, I mean, when you talk budgeting, how would you grade what they're doing now? I mean, what can you do better for that when it comes to that?
I believe there's progress being made. But in that open and transparent communication, it's understanding, okay, something as simple as the difference between the certificates of obligation and the bonds, and the various bonds, whether it be a municipality bond, and some of the other forms of that, of some need a vote and some don't. So we're actually developing a condensed version of the budget for our citizens to see and utilize, and they can read. Instead of reading the 318 pages of the budget form, it'll be on a handful of pages that's more easier for them to comprehend, more easier to understand what's going on, what's the significance of how things are playing out, for good or bad. And I'm not going to sit here and badmouth our current city administration, but I do believe there's improvements that can be made. And I believe when it starts with the transparency, when it starts in effective communication, then individuals are not so intimidated in getting involved, and they had a better understanding of what's going on in their city, how it affects them, and why it's important.
Transparency on that. Is there something you would propose to how to be more transparent with the public when it comes to that?
That's already starting with the budget forms, but also continuing on with the city council meetings is a breakdown of what played out in the city council meeting. Okay. Not everyone has the opportunity to attend, especially with it being 8:30 in the morning. A lot of individuals are working, trying to provide for their families. So it's a quick synopsis, a breakdown of this is what happened, these are the areas it's going to affect, and this is how we can move forward.
Gotcha. Well, you've said on your Facebook page that Abilene needs a public servant, not a politician. For those who want to know more about you, where can they go?
Absolutely. They can go to our Facebook page at Elect Sargent, ELECTSARGENT, or they can go to our website, sargentforabilene.com. That's SARGENTFORABILENE.com.
Any last message for the constituents out there that want to know more about James Sargent?
Absolutely. I mean, you can reach out to us on social media. You can find me at the shop, often working on cars. You can find us in the community. I'm here to serve our community, and no matter what form that is. So if you have a concern, it concerns me. I'm wanting to hear from you.
Well, James Sargent, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you. Best of luck to you in this upcoming election, which is on May the 6th. We will continue our conversations with all the candidates in the weeks to come. For James Sargent, City Council candidate for Place 3, I am Manny Diaz. This has been another Sunday Conversation right here on Big Country Politics.